I'm Borelstein, and today we're reviewing hit atheist film Heretic. You're probably wondering why I'm wearing the silly hat. This is the closest thing I have to a fedora, and if you're familiar with the film, this is a pro-atheist film, but then swerves at the last minute of the film to like go into insanity. The movie stars Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, and they play two Mormon girls who are going to people's homes who've requested more information regarding the Mormon faith. And in the beginning of the film, there's a lot of tight close-ups on important little pieces of information that you're probably sit there scratching your monkey skull like, why are they showing me this thing? And then later on, you find out that's why they were showing you that thing, because it was important to something that changed in the plot later on. So visually and generally in the script, we reinforce the things that become relevant to the plot later on by setting them up early on. Okay, that's basic filmmaking. Good job. This is like the second draft of the story. The problem is this film really needed like a third or fourth or maybe even a fifth draft because by the end of the movie, the ending is completely unearned. The plot goes off the rails, and it is completely utterly ridiculous. I'm gonna kind of skip over the plot summary to just get into what happens in a quick broad sense. So Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, they show up. They're two Mormon girls, and they're here to give Hugh Grant's character more information about Mormonism. And they're first having this tension back and forth, like, "Oh, we really need a woman in the home. Is your wife here?" And he like tricks them into saying that she's making a blueberry pie by bringing out a candle that smells like blueberries. And then he like kind of walks off, and it's like really weird. And then they walk into the deeper level of the house where basically they have this religious debate back and forth. And if you've seen the movie Zeitgeist on YouTube circa 2007, then this is where the whole script is lifted from. Basically, Hugh Grant goes on an anti-religious rant about how all religions are the same and they're all derivations of each other. And, it's all cherry-picked information. And then, rightfully so, Sophie Thatcher's character calls this out for being a bunch of like cherry-picked bullshit, and all these kinds of things. So that's interesting that like, at least they have some rebuttal against the level of stupidness going on, the smugness. But then this is where the movie gets dumb because now in order to get out, they can't just go out the door because it's like locked. And so now they have to go between one of two doors, and it doesn't matter because we come to find out that both doors just go to a fucking a rape basement essentially, where there is a woman waiting to eat pie and die. But that's not actually what happens. It was all just a trick. But Hugh Grant's like, you're gonna see a miracle now. I'm gonna show you all the stupid shit. It's gonna be amazing. And the problem is that it's not amazing. It's really stupid and corny, and it requires the characters to basically like be spooked and scared and close their eyes and have lights turn off. So basically, the lady eats the pie, and then another person comes out and swaps places with the person who ate the pie, and then tells them that they went to heaven and they had a near-death experience, kind of thing, or whatever. Then some stupid shit happens, and Sophie Thatcher ends up getting killed, um, by Hugh Grant, and then the other character, she like goes further down into the rape dungeon and essentially finds a bunch of women in cages, and then this is where the movie goes off the rails completely. And Hugh Grant says, and it becomes kind of sexual. There isn't like a sexual component to the film at all, but this is where the film needed to have Hugh Grant kind of be like a sex pervert, where he has women in cages, right? But none of them are attractive. Like they're all like, so maybe they were attractive at one point, but now they're so dilapidated and fucking like famished and not well kept. None of these women are fuckable, right? And he's like, oh, all of religion is a purpose to control people and blah 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 blah. And the problem with the movie is like, okay, that's your idea. That okay, Hugh Grant, you're a smug. He claims to be a professor doing studies, but actually he's just like a smug idiot. And so he cages women that come to his home telling him about religion, and then he's like, no, religion is actually about control, and I'm gonna prove it to you by being a control freak and locking you in this cage and making you a part of my silly future experiments by forcing you to eat blueberry pie and then killing yourself and then coming back and then swapping out with the other girl and being like, oh, hee hee. Now you're gonna tell them a near death experience. Like that, it's insane. That is insane. That is an insane theatrical setup to have. And why would these women ever do this? Like we see no reason for these women to do these things, and they really needed some kind of like justification for like Hugh Grant's level of control. Like for the movie primarily focuses on Hugh Grant, but in like a kind of limited POV sense. And it's ironic I say that because we actually spend time with Hugh Grant's character in a direct, like, not direct point of view, but like from like look at watching him do things privately. Like we know he's a bad guy later on after all said and done, before it's like kind of fully revealed, I feel. But he has no motivation to like keep women in cages. Like there should have been some kind of like, because the conversation between him and Sister Paxton, the other character that's alive, feels like at any moment he's gonna like put his hand on her shoulder and be like, yeah, women love control and they love submitting and blah blah blah. There should have been some kind of like disturbing component, I felt like, for Hugh Grant's character, because just locking women up in cages and wanting to like play out your atheist debate fantasy over and over again is insane. Like we just needed like a little bit more. Like there should have been some kind of like, I feel like, a sexual impropriety or some kind of component to just made Hugh Grant's character make any fucking sense at all, because you're like, all he is with this practice is getting his need met to like prove that religions are false, but actually he just ends up proving that he's a fucking crazy person. And yeah, so there's like a kind of ticking clock savior thing, kind of like The Shining with the black caretaker who comes to The Shining but then he dies. But in this case it's Topher Grace. He's an elder at the Mormon church and he finally tracks down where Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes are, but oh, he gets turned away and then that's it. That's just because, and then the bike is gone because Hugh Grant changed out the bike and like put the key back in the wrong jacket after he took the girl's coats. There's a lot of things in the movie that kind of just work out haphazardly. It's really funny, and it's funny how it's like set up because when the girls go in the room to get their jackets, and they're like, "Oh, my key is in my jacket. Why is it in here? It should have, like the key is in my jacket. It should have been in your jacket." But they don't really think about much of it. And there's like a lot of little like hints early on that there's stuff going on that's wrong, and that's cool. The first one third of the movie very well set up. The second third of the movie, okay, anti-religion, everything bullshit. And then the last third of the movie is just insane. Sister Paxton tells the story about like, I think when people die, maybe they come back as butterflies and then they land on your hand. And it's just so silly. It's so silly. So like Sister Paxton gets out of the rape dungeon and then Hugh Grant's about to like kill her or do something, and then Sister Barnes, who has been stabbed like 30 minutes ago, gets up with one final act of defiance, kills Hugh Grant, and then falls over and dies. Makes no sense at all. We have no explanation of why this happens. I mean, I guess it's kind of like reinforcing, like, oh, like you are using dead women to trick us into not believing in our religion. Now I'm going to be a fake dead woman and then kill you, but she had no proof that he was going to even come back in this room at any point. So like it makes no sense at all. But like thematically, I guess it ties in, sure. But what the fuck? That's insane. Like she got stabbed in the gut and she makes no attempt to like cover her wound. She would have bled out. She would be fucking dead. Like what the fuck? Whatever. I don't care. The movie sucks. Then at the end, Sister Paxton gets out of the rape house, and there's a really cool scene when she's like going through the house, and the camera is like pulling back because there's this diorama of the house, kind of like in Hereditary. So this movie like steals a lot of good shit from other movies, and one of them is Hereditary, where there's this diorama of the house as the characters are moving through the house. Hugh Grant has this like little diorama thing, and as she's going through the house, the camera pulls back, and then we pull back from the diorama. That was a cool fucking sequence. That was, it didn't make the film watchable, but it was cool. They did something cool. They did one cool thing. Good job. One cool thing. Good job, buddies. But then she gets out of the house and she's in the field of snow, and it's kind of like idyllic, and a little butterfly lands on Sister Paxton's hands. It's like, oh my God, remember when she said that like when dead people come back as butterflies, they land on your hand, they give you a little butterfly kiss? Oh my God. It's so unearned. It's so unearned. It is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Um I guess now we'll kind of get on like the music is okay. They play like some Beatles song or they play some music that's like this song was actually played by this person and then they got sued for it and then this song got that and the person who got played this made the song that got sued then that person then sued somebody else and it's like talking about like derivations and all this shit. It's like who fucking cares, dude? Hugh Grant is well cast in this movie. Hugh Grant is amazing. If you had never believed Hugh Grant is like a sex character in like a romantic comedy where he's like, oh, Hugh Grant's gonna get the girl in like those 90s movies, this is great because Hugh Grant is like a creepy weirdo, but he should have been, there's something should have been wrong with him. Like, just wrong with him. Like, he comes off as like kind of too normal for what the fuck he's doing, which is like keeping women in cages solely for the purposes of like disproving like mission kind-hearted people's religion. Like it just kind of comes off as like feeble and pathetic. Like it should have been more about how control is important to him, and that's how he controls the environment, and that's very clear because he has like lights on switches and timers and all sorts of like little things that just normal houses don't have. Like these, like when I say switches, it's like a dead man switch or something, or I don't know. That's not the right term, but he's got this weird setup in his house that's insane. But yeah, he is great in this movie. If you want to see Hugh Grant being a weirdo, that's great. I wanted him to see be even more weirdo near the end, but unfortunately, it's just the film doesn't commit. The film doesn't commit. Like I said, they needed another third or fourth draft. And also so much of the script is just aped from the movie Zeitgeist. So if you've ever seen that from 2007 or whatever the fuck that shitty documentary on YouTube came out, then basically you've seen this movie before, so don't watch it. Um, the it's a fun watch, but you need to like be drinking by the first third of the movie, and you need to be blackout drunk by the end of the movie to enjoy it because it's not good. The ending is so stupid. Oh, it's the cute butterfly. What the fuck was that? What were they? Did they really think they earned that ending? That was ridiculous. I can't believe that. What the fuck were they thinking? That was terrible. Anyway, I think I give the movie like a 4 out of 10. It was entertaining when I watched it. In hindsight, I don't like it. Actually, I kind of hate it. So yeah, if you like this movie, you're probably an atheist, and I hate you. So yeah, good luck, and stay safe out there. We're in dark times ahead. Trump's America kind of sucks.